I have suffered for a long time with anxiety attacks and panic attacks for a very long time. And let's talk about that. Hi, if you don't know me, my name is Andy Neal, and I talk about the outdoors and mental health. And for so long, and the reason why I got into the outdoors was because of anxiety and panic attacks. And they're scary. And I want to talk about anxiety and panic attacks and what are they and why do they happen? So back in 2016, I was dealing with a lot. I was actually a pastor at a church dealing with a lot of pressure. From there, I was coming to grips with the fact that we had adopted 3 kids from foster care, and our 2 oldest had special needs, and their needs were extremely beyond what we could handle or what anyone expected. And we were trying to navigate, trying to get them the health care, the mental health care that they needed. And we were also just trying to deal with, living life, as a family who went from, just me and my wife to instantly like a family of 5. And not only that, I was dealing with past trauma. I was dealing with trying to figure out my past and how that was affecting me now. And I was wrestling with the fact that I was dealing with a lot of existential dread because I was questioning my faith a lot and questioning my place in the universe a lot, questioning the fact that I was a pastor and maybe I don't quite believe in this stuff. And it was really, really hard for me. And I remember the first anxiety attack that I had, it was in 2016. I was leading a worship or music practice with a band. I was the worship music pastor. And I just was on stage and there was a lot of pressure. A lot of people were arguing and just trying to figure out the music. And I just froze, completely froze. Like I couldn't do it anymore. I don't know how I got home that night. I didn't lock the doors of the church. I just left all the lights on. I got there the next morning and the lights were all still on. The doors were still unlocked. Luckily, no one had come in and I had realized I'm dealing with anxiety and panic attacks. Now, I want to say something very clear. Panic attacks are serious, but they're not something to be ashamed of. And I have suffered from them and I have worked so hard with therapists to overcome them. And when they do come, learn how to deal with them and get past them. Now, anxiety attacks, panic attacks look different for everyone. I was diagnosed with general anxiety disorder, where I just internalize everything and I kind of bottle up and I worry and I worry and I worry and I worry, and it just affects every part of my being. So anxiety attacks for me look different than for a lot of people, and other people's look a lot different than mine. For me, my heart will just start beating really, really fast and I'll turn red and I will get really hot and I'll have trouble talking and my hands will start shaking and I'll have shortness of breath and I feel like I can't breathe. And I've learned a lot of ways to cope with those things. Now, therapy was so key to dealing with my anxiety and learning to manage my anxiety attacks and also finding out, why was I having these anxiety attacks? Why were they happening? Why were they coming about? And I am so thankful for it. One thing we did was EMDR. Now, I want to give you an exact definition of EMDR because I don't want to mess it up. EMDR is a therapy that is a structured psychotherapy approach that helps individuals process traumatic memories and reduce their emotional distress. It stands for eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. So basically what my therapist did is they had me follow this. It was the end of a stick, and I followed it and my eyes followed my eyes. And then we do this whole process and we'd find a container and, Google it, look it up. It's actually fascinating. And I began to process a lot of my old trauma that was causing me so much anxiety now or then. And I processed a lot of that and my anxiety attacks became a lot more manageable and a lot fewer and far between. And then learning about why I was having anxiety attacks, why I was what was triggering my anxiety attacks. Yes, I have triggers, and it's okay to say that you're triggered by something. I'm triggered by a lot of things. A lot of things trigger me. Things from my past, things that are going on now, things in the news. I get triggered a lot, and it's okay. And being triggered is not a freaking bad word. And if people tell you, oh, you're triggered, and they make fun of you for it, well, screw them, because being triggered is a real thing. And therapy helped me to identify those triggers and learn how to avoid them, or learn how to, when I do have to deal with them, because sometimes they are unavoidable, to manage those emotions better and to work through them so they don't trigger me. Some of them don't trigger me at all anymore. I haven't talked a lot about my past. My mom basically left when I was about 12. There was drug abuse and all kinds of crazy stuff and very chaotic. We were safe, but very chaotic situation growing up in my teen years, moving, and there was just a lot of trauma I had to deal with in that. But also in the process of therapy, I learned about other things I was dealing with. For instance, I had just left my faith. After I had the anxiety attacks, the panic attacks, shortly after that, I actually left the church, left my career, all that jazz. Started going to therapy a lot with a non-religious therapist. I went to a religious therapist for a while, a Christian-based therapist, and I found it, for me, extremely not helpful. So much of the solutions to the problems were like prayed away, which wasn't helpful because the praying wasn't working, and that was really frustrating as someone who wanted to deal with these things. But with the EMDR and talk therapy and learning different relaxation techniques, meditation, I was so, gosh, I don't even know the word. It felt like a weight was taken off my shoulders. It felt like there was new life breathed into me. Now, I still deal with anxiety attacks from time to time, except I've learned my triggers, like I said before, and I learned what it feels like, and I know what to do in those situations. For me, particularly, when they happen, I begin to feel the heaviness of breath, the heart rate. I focus on 5 things. I focus on what I can see, what I can hear, what I can feel, what I can smell, and what I can taste. And I find one of those senses and I ground myself. And it's been very helpful. The touch one is very, very helpful for me. There's outside my house, there's a wall, like a brick wall you can sit on with like a fence behind it. And I will sit on that and I'll rub my neck on the fence, the wood fence, and my hands on the brick. And that just really helps ground me in situations where I feel like I'm about to have a panic attack. And maybe, you know, just, yeah, they're not good. And I say all this because the more I'm vlogging and the more I'm talking about my journey with mental health and therapy, and the more I'm talking about my journey with even GLP-1s and weight loss and my processes of growing and dealing with the fact that I am a person in a fat body and talking about those, I feel like there's so many men who just don't talk about it. We see talking about or admitting that we are dealing with mental health difficulties or mental illness as weakness, and that just drives me absolutely insane. And we need to make sure that we destigmatize these things and let other men know and everyone know that it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to just take a moment, having the idea that it's okay to not be okay, that you don't have to be ashamed of anxiety and panic attacks because they're scary, and they've been really scary for me. But I've learned over time, I don't want to say I've overcome them, but I've learned how to identify my triggers. I've learned how to work through them when I'm having one, and they are indicators for me too that I'm perhaps not dealing with situations in my life like I should be, that maybe I'm putting things off, maybe I'm not fully grasping or dealing with or processing things I need to process with. And I could talk with my therapist when they happen, and I think it's just really important for everyone to know that there's no shame in this. There's not something wrong, broken or wrong with you if you deal with anxiety and panic attacks. It's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to get help. And panic attacks are very scary. Like, literally feel like I'm gonna die when I've had them before. But now I know through therapy, through EMDR, other processes, like, oh, I feel a panic attack coming on. I need to do something about this. And through the process of therapy, I learned to go into the outdoors. I learned to, oh gosh, find time in the outdoors. So I'm constantly grounded. And that's another reason why they don't happen so much, because I spend so much time in the outdoors. I've had people tell me in the past, oh, if you're having an anxiety attack, just go for a hike. That's not really good, because when I'm having an anxiety attack, I do not want to operate motor vehicles. I don't think it's the best idea in the world. Just a hunch. But I find places around me, like this place is not far from my house. And I can come here and I can sit and I can look at Roxanne Mountain over there. That's what it's called. If you're not from here, you probably don't know. And just look at these wildflowers and just sit in silence. And there are children playing off in some hills in the background, so you might be able to hear them on the mic. I'm not quite sure. This is a really good spot because the light is really, really good, and I love it so much. Anyways, I know I blabbed on for a while now, so I just want to say it's okay to not be okay, and there is no shame. And if you deal with depression or anxiety or panic attacks, and there is help available, I'll have resources below if you're looking for help. And I have them. I've dealt with them for a long time, and that's okay. So with all that said, guys, if you like this video, YouTube thinks you might like these videos. Also, make sure you subscribe down here. With that said, thank you all so much for watching. Hope you have a great day, and we'll see you later. Bye.